Thank you for joining me again. So, in this video, I would like to talk to you about a children's story I wrote a few nights ago. It's currently titled Arthur the Frightened Bunny, and it's a story about a bunny who deals with anxiety, and he decides one day he has to go into the big scary world to find his old friends and maybe make new ones. So why I wanted to do this video is because after writing that short book, I realized that writing, first of all, I realized that I'm writing kids stories much quicker than novels, obviously, and I realized one very important fact, that writing stories for kids can help you write a very good outline for your novel. I have resisted for a very long time to write an outline for my novel, for my debut novel. For many years, while I was learning how to write, I was just not necessarily, I don't think I was learning more than I was just exploring how I can write and stuff like that, trying to find a style. I wasn't thinking to learn very much. I was just like having fun on the page. So at that time I was thinking that having an outline for a book is going to stifle my imagination. It's not going to help me write a very interesting and entertaining story, because I just thought, well, if I write already what's going to happen, I'm not going to be compelled to write how it happens and why and all these cool things that we want to write in a novel to entertain readers and ourselves. But later on, after I did write like the first draft of my novel, I was doing a master class, and I realized that the teacher of the novelist of the master class suggested, and more than suggested, advised to write an outline, to write outlines whenever you can, because it's very helpful for your own process. It helps you not get stuck. So after watching that class, I realized that he's very right, and that I should have had an outline before I read my debut novel, which I did have a very brief outline, but I was still like exploring stuff and writing for fun. Not that, I mean, I do write for fun and to learn and to entertain myself in general. But yeah, so I just wanted to tell you that I want to stress about why it is important to have an outline and how writing stories for kids can help you write that outline. Because many people talk about, oh yeah, you need an outline, it has to be a page long, A4 page long, it has to be 36 pages long. Different authors have different processes of writing their stuff. So I just want to give you a little bit of my own process and what I've learned in the last year especially. So a novel outline is important because it helps you have an overall of your story, what you want to happen in the story and what it needs to happen. So by the time you get to the end, you don't get lost and you don't ramble like I do in most of my videos, unfortunately, because I'm not the greatest speaker. But yeah, when you write, if you have an outline, it keeps you grounded. You have a structure, you have a beginning, middle and end. Even if it's that simple and you have that, it helps you write a better story rather than get lost and you don't know what the theme is anymore, who the main character is, who the antagonist is, or stuff like that. So getting back to why I believe writing kids stories can help you write a better outline is because I realize it's a for writing for kids, which I've been doing in the last few weeks since I moved to Manchester, I realized that to write a story for kids, because they're very brief, between like 500 and 3,000 maximum. I mean, obviously depends on the age of the kid you aim the story at, but usually they're within that frame. Usually they're even shorter, where I kind of extend them a bit, made them a bit longer, but usually they're like 500 to 1,000 words for the picture books especially. And to write a story, and write not just an entertaining story but a meaningful story, because let me tell you, while doing research, and I realized that parents buy books for their kids because how do they buy the kids story for a kid? They buy it. They make a kind of a list how entertaining entertaining it is, how beautiful the illustrations are, how well told the story is, what it teaches that child, because there are so many books in the world, especially children's books, and how as a parent do you pick the best book for your kid, especially when you're on a budget, how do you keep your list as brief, as short as possible, because as much as I would like, for example, to get as many books as possible, I can't, because there's budget limits and stuff like that. So one way to eliminate certain books is by what it teaches you from reading that story. Obviously, with most of them you can't know unless you've read the book, but that's another thing. But you read from reviews, you can tell. Okay, this is going off topic. Getting back to the outline, I realized that I write children's stories. They make me very joyful, and I can I just write them quite quickly. And although they're not perfect on the first draft, I can come back to them quite easily and re-edit them and add things into them, into the plot, or to make it a bit better, to give a teaching, but without hitting the child in the head with the teaching. You don't tell them, I can't think of necessarily a good example now, but you don't tell the child you have to be a good person. You kind of have to show it by giving examples in the book, by creating cute characters so the kid relates to them and wants to do those things. You don't tell them, you have to brush your teeth, or you can't be scared of the darkness. That's silly. You have to show them why they shouldn't be scared of the darkness, for example. I'm giving you this particular example because I've used it in my story, so it's easier to give. So getting back to the outline, why I think that's true. Writing kids' stories is like writing the outline for a novel, because a novel can have hundreds of pages. And to think logically, what does a story for a kid need? Like any story, a story for a picture book needs a protagonist, which usually has in mind the kid. You have to have a protagonist. The kid has to relate with someone in particular. You can't have 10,000 of characters. The kid is going to be, confused. It needs to be focused. So you need to have a protagonist who's carrying the story, and you need this protagonist to have a main fear or an antagonist. So he has something to work against, something that is in his way. He must have a goal or something he wants. So when he wants those things, because he's afraid of something or he has an antagonist, he can't achieve them unless he overcomes those things. It's the classic theme. You have a character, he has to go through all these things to get what he wants. If he doesn't, if he just stays in a corner and does nothing, the end is going to be, first of all, the story is going to be very boring, and unless you use certain devices, and it's just not going to be entertaining, and the protagonist is just not going to appeal to anyone. He's not going to grow and become who he is supposed to become, a better person, hopefully. Because we're talking about kids' books here. So you need a protagonist, you need, what else? Protagonist, you need the antagonist, you need obstacles, and what do you need in order for the protagonist to survive his quest and face it? And you can't have him on his own. I mean, you can, obviously, you can do whatever you like, but what is usually used in stories, the protagonist has helpers. You know, he has friends, but not just friends. Sometimes people who are not, they seem like they're not friends, but they are still actually helping the character to grow. So you need helpers, right? And then you put you put the protagonist with his little helpers in the story against the antagonist, which in kids' stories usually is a fear of doing something or of discovering something, and he goes through this quick stages because it's a brief story for a child, so you know, and he reaches the end because he does these things. So I hope you can see how this can help you. Like if you take an A4 page or document and write, think about from the point of view of a child, make it childish, and after you've written it down, think from the point of view of an adult, and that's when you can add more stuff. But try not to complicate the story when you don't even know what it is about. Write the bare minimum, the skeleton of the story, and then add the pieces onto it. Add the blood, the skin, the clothes, the makeup, and all that stuff to the story. So that's how I think it's a very good method to come up with an outline and make a better story and a better start for your novel by writing, putting your mind into a different place. Putting your mind there, like thinking about the nugget that keeps you interested. What do you want to write about? Something that will maybe help people and keep you entertained. And how do you want to tell that story so people are engaged and compelled to read your story? And yeah, do what works for you. But I thought to share this little piece of advice I've learned on my own in the last few days, actually. Yeah, I think it's quite fun to write for kids because I just want to show you another book. If you haven't seen my previous video, I just spoke about it in that video I showed it. But I think that's how the idea of doing an outline by writing a story for kids, doing the outline for a novel, it's because I was reading these dark tales, tales of mystery and imagination, and I was thinking they're not very long, but they deal with very deep stories, scary stuff, and yet they can be enjoyed both by adults and younger children. Obviously not for picture books, these ones, but like you can see the appeal of having illustrations, and I'll just show you some. These are some of black and white. Check out this eye. This was a very interesting story about a madman and how he went about to kill someone. And yeah, So yeah, that's how I was thinking. I was reading the book and I noticed how much I enjoy it, and I realized that a novel takes much longer to write, but a way to make it easier for you is to have a brief outline by writing a story for a kid maybe, and then add all the problems that adults have. I mean, kids have problems as well, but I mean, make those problems, those anxiety that maybe a kid experiences in a story and has to overcome, make those anxieties much bigger for a novel. But that's when you develop the outline, when you come out with character arcs, with where the novel is taking place, like the setting, the timeline, and all that kind of stuff that goes into writing a novel. You know, writing a novel is not easy. It can be simple if you are more organized, which is one thing that I've learned from writing my first book, is that I wish I had a better outline in a way, but at the same time I'm happy by how it came out, because it's just, that's how you learn. If you don't do any mistakes, how are you going to learn? So, you know, I hope this tip was helpful. It was again intended to be shorter, but I don't know what's going on with me today. I keep making very long videos. So yeah, I will keep you updated as I'm working on my non-fiction book, Simple Ways to Write, Publish, Market a Debut Novel, plus intimate letters from published authors. I will probably put more tips on video and share them with you, because I think they're very useful, and I appreciated finding videos online of authors writing about their process and learning from their videos and advice, and I want to do the same for you. So although I may be rambling, making very long videos sometimes, I do hope you can find some meaning and some help in these videos. So this is a reason why I'm doing them, not just to help myself improve maybe my speaking and my methods of writing, but also to help others. So yeah, why not share my knowledge with other people if I can? You know, I can do sometimes you can't do much to help someone, but a little bit, if you can do a little bit, you never know how much it matters for someone. So I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for listening. Have a lovely afternoon. And go and try and write a story for kids. You might really enjoy it. And the worst that can happen is you might come up with a novel idea. Because every kid's story can turn into a novel or a movie, you know, then the novel can turn into a movie. You just have to think about these things, you know, creative thought, where they can lead you, you know. You never know, you might save lives. So thank you so much for listening.